It's the internet. You're busy. Let's do this for August 3rd, 2023. For the next hour or so, let me help you sort through the world of gaming on Game Mess Mornings Live with me, Jeff Grubb. Today, Nintendo is making a lot of money and more. But first, please join me in welcoming today's co-host of Game Mess Mornings. It's Mike Minotti, everybody. Mike, how are you doing?
Believe it or not, it's just me.
Yay.
Yay. I'm good. Although I was talking about this a little bit, but on my socials, I almost called it a Twitter, and then I almost called it the new thing, and then I got mad, so
yeah,
I didn't do that.
Yeah.
But on that site, you ever go to a subreddit and it's like about a hobby you're really excited for, and then it's just a really weird experience? Like, there's a GameCube subreddit on Reddit. And I was like, oh, this is great. People are going to really talk about GameCube and like the collecting scene and all this stuff. And everybody there like shares things and writes like my parents do on Facebook.
Oh, no.
It's always like, it's always like a picture of like 4 GameCube games. And it's like, rate my collection. Or like a picture of like Mario Sunshine. It's like, what do you think of Mario Sunshine? There's a lot of people asking other people to solve their problems for them.
Oh, yeah, of course.
A lot of that.
But yeah, the most base level social media stuff, and then like people looking for validation. Sure.
Yes, that's all it is. Yeah, so,
that's I don't know. That's kind of old. It's almost endearing at this point. Like for when you go to a place and they seem like, oh, this is just a bunch of people who are kind of older now, and
why are all these GameCube fans so old?
That doesn't make any sense. Frankly, I'm against it. Yeah, that's that has happened to me for sure. But it is weird to hear that happening with the GameCube subreddit. I thought that's where the hippest people would be hanging out.
I thought it would be so cool, Yeah, but no, it's kind of lame. I'm sorry to any GameCube subreddit attendees.
Well, that includes you now, so it
includes me now. I'm part of them. I'm lame.
Exactly.
For sure.
All right, we're gonna get into this mess here in a second, but I just want to double check, Mike. You've been playing anything fun recently? You've been doing anything?
No. Yeah. That Pikmin 4 is real good.
Yeah.
You got me.
Yeah, we did it, everybody. He's been compromised to a permanent Pikmin fan.
Pikminotti is real.
Yes. It's the loop, right? You just you kind of can't.
It's so fun.
You want to do one more day. You just want to do one more day.
I want to do one more day. I want to always do one more day because I leave the one day. I'm like, well, I didn't get to do that.
Exactly.
I opened up this new place.
It's super pleasant, right? But it's not
a cozy game.
Not a cozy game. No, it's kind of
doing things.
Yes, there's strain and there's stress and
just a bit.
Yeah, exactly. They don't overdo it. And this is the one, again, I think they just figured out all the balance with all that stuff here. So,
oh my God, Purple People Eater said, one day more. Now I want to do a Les Mis one day more parody about just playing another day of Pikmin.
Yes, beautiful.
Everyone would like that, right?
Yeah, everyone's been clamoring for it, I think. That's what the word clamoring was invented for.
They've been, according to your shirt, I think they've been lobstering for
Lobstering, that's right. Exactly.
For
audio listeners, I'm wearing my meat shirt here today.
There we go.
All right. This is a mess, and we're going to explain what we do here. Most weekdays, I, Jeff Grubb, will help piece your gaming life back together. That includes breaking news and maybe even some of our own original reporting. For all these topics, I'll get the input of a bona fide expert who will make me look smart. If you are watching live on Twitch, welcome. You can always listen to the show later on podcast feeds by searching for Game Mess Mornings or find the RSS on giantbomb.com. You can also catch the show later with chapters and timestamps on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. Okay, we have a lot to get into, so let's start the morning mess with Nintendo Switch has now sold over 129 million units worldwide. This is from My Nintendo News. Nintendo has announced this morning that the Nintendo Switch family of systems have shifted over 129.53 million units worldwide since its launch in March 2017. The Nintendo 3DS has sold 75.94 million units since it's released in 2011, and the Wii U did 13.56 million. The Wii has sold 101.63 million units since its launch, and the Nintendo DS remains the best-selling Nintendo hardware at 154.02 million units. This is basically 130 million on the back of Tears of the Kingdom coming out. That's a pretty big boost, getting up to 130 million. Is that, with Tears of the Kingdom here and getting to 130 million, do you think now it still has the juice to get to? I just knocked the hell out of my microphone.
I liked it. That was a very good.
Yes.
As an Italian, I approve of your hand
thank
gesture
you very
there.
much. Yes, I thought you would like that. Do you think it's going to get to that 150-ish million range now? Because like Tears of the Kingdom happened and it's at 130 million.
Right. Where was it at before Tears of the Kingdom?
I can't. I'm going to look it up right now while we discuss it.
So because we have a holiday season still, and that's going to, obviously that always helps. This might be the last holiday season for this Switch, right? So, I think we're all expecting the Switch 2 to come out before the next holiday. So it might be a little touch and go. It might be a little touch and go if it can do that. We're still going to have some games. We have the 2D Mario game. That's going to matter. Is it going to sell a lot of systems? I don't know. I don't think there's going to be another system seller quite like Zelda. And after Mario Wonder, probably nothing on that level anymore either.
Right. And we'll get into some of these other details. But the Mario effect of like the movie happening and people showing up for Mario games, that's already kind of happened. Like people who want to get a Nintendo system for Mario, they've been doing that because of the movie. So Wonder's going to come out. I think it's going to sell very well. But I don't necessarily think that's going to be like, and now I'm going to get a Switch because Mario's here. It's like, well, no, everyone's been kind of doing that. I suppose the latent 2D Mario fans that happened with the Wii, like that, I guess that could happen again. But I don't know. I guess I'm not super confident because it is the end of the generation.
I mean, it is almost surprising that they weren't more revision happy with the Switch like they were with the 3DS, because they would have certainly have topped it out there. I mean, that's a big part of what helped the DS, because there were so many different versions there were. I mean, how many DSs did I have? Probably 3, right? That I actually bought new. So, the DS got a bump from that. And the PlayStation 2 also had a bump from just a lot of people buying as a DVD player. I wonder if Switch is going to make the record for software sold.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely it is the record for software sold on a Nintendo platform. The trouble there for Nintendo is that they've never really had Call of Duty, which, is a huge seller, like on a PlayStation 4 and Xbox 360 and PS3 and all that stuff. Those games just coming out annually, and the sports games too. So it's like, it's going to be kind of tough for Nintendo to meet that overall goal, but it has crushed it as far as Nintendo consoles. It's the first Nintendo console to sell more than 1 billion pieces of software. So that's impressive on its own.
This console is literally almost sold 10 times as much as the last one now, right?
Yes.
As the Wii U.
Yeah, literally.
So, it of course, it's just this giant success. Like, we're always interested, like, in being number one in these numbers, but it doesn't really matter. A huge success, no matter what happens from this point going forward. I think we're all very happy about the Switch.
Yep. It's in May, it was at 125 million. So in one quarter, it seems to have shipped about 5 million units. That's very, very good for this time in its life cycle. So, but also not necessarily like, well, I guess, over the holiday season, we'll see if it's able to like replicate that. If it does that again,
maybe another 5, and then
maybe another 5.
You're getting close to 140. But again, that last 10 million might be tough.
It's worth pointing out that, we could talk about it. No, the Switch getting to the Nintendo DS level. And it's like, at that time, the DS was doing 150 million and the Wii was doing 100 million at the exact same time. Right, so during that generation, Nintendo had 250 million units sold. It's just a different world. We live in a completely different world than back then. That was pre-iPhone, pre-iPad, for the most part. And so people like a lot of those casual gamers that would show up at the end of the generation and would buy something for hardware for $99 and then pick up a few games here and there. They aren't going to push the Switch over the finish line. Not really.
Yes, that is that. You think like when they announce a Switch 2 and maybe like at some point earlier in 2024, do they finally just go $100 off the Switch ahead of the launch of the new one?
Maybe, but it's like, it doesn't feel like that would, I don't know. That doesn't seem like the move.
That when the new one comes out, they do that, and then a lot of people just go and buy the old Switch instead of getting a new one, maybe right away.
Maybe, but I think that these companies, these days, when it comes to these console generation transitions, they are more interested in moving as many people onto the new hardware as quickly as possible. And Because
Why, no, they're not. We're remaking. We're gonna port over Jedi Survivor to the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One because that's a great idea.
That's right. But in the meantime, they're not. They stopped making Xbox Ones. They made like another million PS4s at some point, but they stopped making those as well. And because of that, they like never really lowered the price. They just stopped making them. So it's like that's.
Yeah.
I think that's probably kind of a similar thing will happen to Switch. Not exactly. Nintendo will probably make it a little bit longer than those companies made those consoles. But I just don't think they don't see the money in winning over that audience that has waited this long for a steep discount on the hardware, because those people probably are not going to spend that much money on software, which again is where they make their money. So I think it's just a change in strategy from those days of the PS2. And it's like you would look, $120 for the PS2. Just get it. It's your DVD player, and it's gonna have it's gonna keep getting FIFA, which is what you're buying it for, probably. It's just changed. All that is different now.
Is the one last question on this? Is the Switch your favorite console ever already? I mean,
I
think
at
the end. I'm getting retrospective about the Switch already.
Yes, I was thinking about this recently. The library is undeniable. It is just so good. And I mean, like, it really would happen when, like, I think Jan asked me about Pikmin 4. He's like, do you think at the end of this generation, Pikmin 4 is going to be in the top 10 Switch games? And I'm like, man, I love Pikmin 4.
I asked you that, not Jan, but that's okay.
Was it you? Okay. Well, you listen.
Believe it or not, it was me.
You all occupy the Minotti slot in my brain. So I thought about it, and it was like, we could be this year alone. Like right now, it's my number 2 game of the year, Pikmin 4. But into this year, just on the Switch, it could be behind Super Mario Brothers Wonder, and that would make it number 3 just this year. And it's I like Engage a lot, and I definitely like Pikmin 4 more than Engage at this
Mario
point.
RPG remake,
but Mario RPG remake, like, so wait, does it get knocked down to 4? For some people, it's 5. Just this year, so it's like, and that's the really late in the life cycle of the Switch, and then we start looking at all the previous years. It's like, if a game I love as much as Pikmin 4 is moving down the list that fast. It's just because the library is that strong and the games are that good. I think the Switch is my favorite
this year. God,
Remastered, Jesus, yes.
Yeah,
it's I think they've really just killed it this gen, and I couldn't be happier with the Switch. I think I'm very excited to see whatever they do next, especially hearing that it's probably going to be once again basically a Switch 2, basically
just what we all want.
Yes,
that would be fantastic.
Speaking of strong software, the top 10 best-selling Nintendo Switch games since launch. This comes from My Nintendo News. Nintendo has updated its best Nintendo Switch software charts since the system launched in March 2017. The best-selling video game for Nintendo Switch's current system remains Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Big surprise, by a healthy margin with 55.46 million copies sold worldwide. It is followed by Animal Crossing New Horizons, which bloomed over the pandemic and has now sold 42.79 million copies worldwide as of the 30th of June, 2023. The acclaimed The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom has now sold 18.5 million copies worldwide. Mike, that puts it into the top 10, but just barely. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, you could be a new game that sells 18.5 million copies in your first 2 months, and you just barely crack the top 10 of best-selling games on the Switch. That puts it ahead of new Super Mario Brothers U Deluxe, which is at 16.17 million. And I guess, man, I forgot that game sold that well on the Switch.
That's Wonder's going to do great.
Wonder's going to crush.
You think it would at least do that well, because this was a new game. And I'm going to say right now, probably going to be a better game. I'm hoping. Nothing against U Deluxe, but I'm liking what I'm seeing from Wonder. I like U Deluxe. We New Super Mario Brothers Wii is my favorite one. Thank you. Thank you for saying that nice thing. The other games on this list: Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, we talked about. Animal Crossing, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, 31.77 million. Breath of the Wild officially in the 30 million club at 30.65 million copies sold. In the 25 million club, Super Mario Odyssey at 26.44 million, and Pokemon Sword and Shield at 25.92 million. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet is at 22.66 million. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. And then Super Mario Party at 19.39 million. That's the wacky one to me. Not even the best Mario Party on the platform.
Yeah, Mario Party Superstars, I think, is already in the teens in terms of millions sold. So, yeah.
And Mega Hit, Luigi's Mansion 3 isn't even on this list.
Yes, and it's like just behind New Super Mario Brothers U Deluxe. It's got like 13 or 14 million copies sold now. So, Yep, just these Switch effect is real, and it's really driving sales for all these franchises. Talk a little bit more about Zelda's sales. Zelda drives record quarter for Switch with 18.5 million copies sold. This is from Andy Robinson at VGC. Tears of the Kingdom drove a record quarter for Nintendo Switch, with the company confirming it sold 18.51 million units of the game as of June 30th. During the 3-month period, global sell-through of the first-party software reached the highest level for a first quarter since the Nintendo Switch launched in 2017, the company claimed. The company also enjoyed a record first quarter profit of $1.294 billion, which is up 82%, and surpasses the 2020 period when it released Animal Crossing New Horizons, and the start of the COVID-19 lockdowns boosted sales. I think that's the line here that I was most interested in. It turns out if you put out a blockbuster game that's the biggest game in the world, you actually can still grow even compared to pandemic years, where it's like that was the whole thing. It's like, this is an anomaly. People are showing up for games because they don't have anything else to do with their money. People have a lot of other things to do with their money right now, and then but when presented with the option of do those other things or Tears of the Kingdom, everybody showed up for Tears of the Kingdom. So I think this is a good sign that video games have maintained a lot of the momentum that they gained through the pandemic. And it's not going to be consistent, but it is going to be, these companies can tap into that energy. And a game like Tears of the Kingdom is the best example of that, right?
No, exactly. There can be big releases. I think we're going to see that with Starfield. If there is something still to that one really big game release. And every studio probably only has a couple franchises or studios that can do that kind of a thing, but there sure is a lot of value in that big blockbuster.
Yep. The game sold at 10 million copies in its first 3 days. It's nearing 10 million since then. That, of course, that's going to slow down, but I think this holiday is also going to be very big for it. Let's game it out maybe a little bit. If they do announce the Switch follow-up in some form, even just like acknowledging it, do you think that derails the sales for this original Switch, or do you think most people are just gonna be like, no, I want to play Tears of the Kingdom, I'm gonna get the Switch this holiday or whatever?
Maybe. I mean, when I really think about it, there's a part of me that's like, wait, who doesn't have a Switch already? Yeah. Anyways,
Good point.
like that's a thing. But if they announce the Switch 2, you imagine there must be some degree of people who are just going to wait for the new one. Unless there are things like holiday deals, maybe a price cut. I don't know.
All right. Let's see. Well, there's some other stuff. Nintendo forecast it will sell 15 million consoles during the current fiscal year ending March 31st, 2024, which represents a further 16.5% decline as Switch enters a significant slowdown during its 7th year on the market. That 15 million number seems much more within reach now that they did about 5 million in a quarter. According to VGC sources, the company has dispatched Switch 2 development kits to key partners. The launch plan for the second half of 2024. Officially, the company has yet to comment on plans for its next console. Looking forward, or looking at some of the other things that are highlights for the earnings report, Nintendo also made room in its results for the Super Mario Brothers movie, which it said tripled its mobile and IP-related revenue to 31.8 billion yen, about $222 million. The movie, which began its theatrical release in various markets around the world on April 5th, has now been viewed by 168.1 million people, Nintendo said. It's not a kind of number you hear about movies very often, like just the raw number of people who watched a movie. Right. But that sounds like a hell of a lot. Like, I'll say a lot of people showing up for the Mario movie.
Yeah, absolutely. And probably a ton of kids watching it for their 10th time tonight, right?
Right.
So.
What that makes it sound like is that this whole idea of, the synergy between putting something out as a Hollywood movie and reaching an audience that has not thought about or cared to engage with Mario or other Nintendo IP for a long time, exposing that to them, and then seeing maybe if you can get some of them to come over and buy some video games. There must be something to that if you were reaching 168 million people, because the Mario games we have are selling 25 million. It's very good, but now it's this could boost those sales to these people even more. And there was some evidence of that. Nintendo did say that the movie led to direct sales of many of its Mario games, including Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which sold another 1.67 million copies in the last quarter alone, which is better than many AAA new releases from the last quarter.
Probably sold more than Metroid Prime Remastered did during that same quarter.
It probably did, which is, it's a shame, but also it's Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. That's what it does. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet has now sold over 22 million copies, closing in on gold and silver sales. This is from Jim Norman at Nintendo Life, and we touched on this, but just to kind of check in on Pokemon. Nintendo's financial report for the first quarter of fiscal year 2024 shows some pretty big numbers for the likes of Tears of the Kingdom and the Switch family of systems as a whole. But another name that has continued to climb in the rankings over the past few months is Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, which has pulled in an impressive 22.66 million sales as of June 30th, 2023. This is a clear slowdown from the game's launch. Remember, the title shifted.
This here's a showdown, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet.
Showdown. The title shifted 20 million in its first 6 weeks alone, but the numbers do move Scarlet and Violet ever closer to breaking into the top 3 best-selling games in the series. 22.66 million sales leave Scarlet and Violet still sitting in 4th on the table of the best-selling Pokemon games of all time. However, as Joe Merrick of Cerebi states, Cerebi is how you say that Pokemon, right?
I always said Cerebi, but I don't know.
Yeah, who knows?
Maybe Cerebi. I think I stopped watching anything that would pronounce the name phonetically by the time we got there.
Joe Merrick states that is likely to change with the next report in terms of this being the fourth best-selling Pokemon game. For reference, Pokemon Gold and Silver, currently the series' third best-selling games, managed to sell 23.7 million copies. So it's true that Scarlet and Violet will likely overtake those Game Boy Color titles in the near future.
That's interesting that they specified Game Boy Color, and not just Game Boy. It's almost like Game Boy Color.
You want to do this?
Platform.
I'm go open your Switch right now and open the Game Boy Color app to play your Game Boy Color games.
All right.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
All right, shut up. All right.
Hey, you did this to yourself.
Dang it.
This is I think it's curious to me because what I hear from my friends like you and Jan is that Scarlet and Violet is pretty miserable. And
yeah, but there's a lot of people who love it anyways, and we're very quick to forgive some of those glaring technical problems, which I get. That's not the most important stuff. Matters a bit, at least, though, and I'm always gonna feel a bit almost bitter about this one. Like, they really got away with that level of performance, huh? You could just sell 20 million copies still with your game running and looking that bad. Okay.
Yep. I mean, the power of that IP just overcomes all, including some shoddy game development. But yeah, that slowdown is pretty significant. I think 20 million in the first, whatever it was, and then kind of getting another 2.66 million. But this is another one of those games that once we get to this first holiday for it, it's probably this next holiday for it, I guess.
Yeah, probably second holiday.
Yeah, second holiday. It'll probably pop off again. It'll be one of those things that probably sells really well. Yeah,
I do hope there is some kind of inkling in Nintendo or in Game Freak, Pokemon Company, that this probably could have done better if it ran better.
Yeah,
it looks like it might not sell as much as Sword and Shield. It's not like those were people's favorite Pokemon games either necessarily, right? So I don't know. It's kind of a weird generation for Pokemon here. 3DS was also like that. Pokemon's been a little weird to me. At some point, maybe I just have to say, as a 36-year-old, maybe Pokemon's just not for me like it used to be.
Yeah.
And that's okay too. But I still feel like this series could do better. I was a big fan of Legends, actually. Arceus. That's my favorite Pokemon game from this generation. That's maybe just where I'm kind of interested in the franchise now. I'm
a little encouraged by Arceus, and that they were like, okay, Legends is something where maybe they can stretch their legs and make something, like you said, a little bit more for me. I do not expect them to change much of how they do the core series based on it selling like this. And yeah, so that's where I'm at with it.
The next one will be on the Switch too, which will presumably look better. I don't want to say it can't get away with it. It's going to look even worse than it did this time if the next Pokemon is only a smidge better than Scarlet and Violet graphically.
Yeah, and I just don't want to get people's hopes up for that, right? Because, the what was the last one on the 3DS that didn't have 3D because they just no, we need the frames. We can't double.
Oh, Sun and Moon was like that. You're right, yeah.
And it's so we're not even going to support 3D on the 3DS because fuck, we can't do it. We're bad at this.
That's fucked.
Yeah. It's and then it's okay, well, on the Switch they'll have more power. And it's like, oh, yeah, but now they got to make it HD. and now it's fucked again. And it's like I just think I expect that to maintain, where it's like they boost everything else up and then they don't have any of the optimization, and really it doesn't even look that good in the first place. I don't know. I just don't think it's worth getting our expectations higher for.
I don't want to get their expectations up so they get more mad.
Okay, you're playing the long game.
Go out to your window, scream, I'm mad as hell, and I'm not going to take it anymore.
Yes, I was going to say that you're going to be like Skarsgård's character from Andor, but you haven't watched that show, so your reference was much better.
I'm doing Network.
You're doing
really
Network.
Bringing it back for the kids.
Yeah, the kids love Network.
Kids won't stop talking about Network, everybody.
All right, let's move on from the Nintendo news. Apex Legends Season 17 did not meet EA's financial expectations. This comes from David Walensky at GameSpot. EA's latest earnings call with investors revealed that Season 17 of Apex Legends fell short of their financial expectations. Despite the game maintaining an impressive 18 million active monthly players, the new gameplay variation and monetization introduced in Season 17 failed to generate the anticipated revenue. During the call, EA CEO Andrew Wilson acknowledged the strength of Apex Legends as one of the industry's top franchises, but expressed disappointment with Season 17's financial performance. Stuart Caulfield, the CFO of EA, further elaborated in his prepared remarks, Apex Legends is a highly successful original IP for EA with a strong community of loyal core players. This quarter, net bookings were below expectations, largely driven by underperformance of Season 17. We've seen these ebbs and flows in and around our live services, and certainly we've seen that within the context of Apex, Wilson said during the live call. We came off record levels in Season 16. The team made some really interesting and creative and innovative changes in Season 17 that didn't meet our expectations. It's also relevant to note that we went into a very competitive quarter. The team has worked diligently to make very quick changes and respond to community feedback and community reactions. We are already starting to see momentum as we go through our current quarter. Mike, I think when it comes to live service games, that there are plenty of critics of live service games. So I think most people listening are gonna jump on what I think is the correct sort of take here, and it's that the risk mitigation that comes from live service games is real, but if you find yourself in a situation where your big live service game is getting diminishing returns, or it starts not making as much money as it once did, you're going to be in a situation where you look around and be like, we have just been making this game for forever, and now we're looking around and what else do we have? Right. Now, EA is a little bit better about this than some other companies. I think they do have a lot of other projects happening, but it still feels like if Apex Legends doesn't pay the bills for them or continues to decline, EA is going to be in trouble. And what's the solution there?
No, that's exactly right. And, it's like, probably it's like Season 17. I mean, it's going to have to fall off at some point, but they said Season 16 was like their best record levels for Season 16. But, they say competition in the quarter. And at first I'm like, well, what live service game was really popping off? But maybe it's not even that, right?
People always say
Season 17 came out in May.
Yeah. It's going to be other games because, every game takes time, and that's the thing. So it's like, even if it's not a live service game, if it's another kind of game that's taking people away, like Tears of the Kingdom, even, it's like that's going to take oxygen out of the room for live service games. Everything's competing with each other, not just live service games.
Right. But I mean, then just a little bit after May when this launched, you do have stuff like a Diablo 4, which, is different, but live service game. A lot of people playing that. There's always so much room in that live service slot for people. And, it's interesting. I like the Apex Legends. I haven't really thought about it personally in a long time. It's like if I do go back to a battle royale these days, it probably is Fortnite. Even though I really liked how Apex Legends played a lot, I never quite got over there. I don't even know where they are on this no solo mode stuff. Like, I get it that they want to balance for the 3-player thing, but I don't always have 2 people to play with, and I definitely don't want to play with strangers. So that always threw me off. Yeah,
they've done some stuff with that. I don't think they've made it like a core thing as part of
Fortnite. It's so easy to be like, my friends aren't here, so I'll play some solo games tonight, and that's that's how I mostly played PUBG, even like back in 2017 when this stuff was just getting started. It was like, I'm gonna play this mostly solo and kind of treat it like a horror game where it's like I'm terrified the entire time, and it's
So yeah, when Apex Legends came around, it was not that kind of game. It was like, no, this is the buddy hangout game. It's like, yeah, I do that too, but that's not going to turn into a hobby for me the way some of these other ones have.
We're seeing these live service shooters like this, like Overwatch 2. Like we know at one point they had plans or were working internally on these kind of big content drops that weren't necessarily the main game, right? You were talking about some Titanfall stuff coming to Apex Legends at one point. Overwatch 2 like got way less ambitious with its co-op plans. Wonder if they're really going to start regretting that stuff. I wonder if that is the kind of thing that could help bring players in, or at least get them excited and feeling good about the game, more so than just here's season 29 with 5 more skins and balance changes, right?
Right, because it's I think the thinking around the way Apex Legends is built today, and the reason that they do cancel that Titanfall stuff, or one of the reasons, there was multiple reasons, but one of the reasons was the return on investment of making like big single player stuff. Is that going to really make us enough money? And we know what can make us money is just keep making these new seasons. But it's like, well, that works until it doesn't. And here we are. And now what opportunities are available to you to like solve this problem of getting people back into Apex Legends? And that the real answer is, for a lot of people, there is no solution. You're not going to get everybody back. Like, that's, people move on, and they move on hard, and that's, you just have to deal with that. But if you were working on more than just like business as usual with a live service game, if you were like, we have a big new surprising thing that could get headlines and get people paying attention, that feels like it would be very useful in a moment like this. Maybe it's still not worth the price that it costs to make it, I guess. But I think it would be nice I think the developers would be happy to have that as a tool in their toolbox. And right now they don't. It's just, okay, I guess back to work on new content, season 18. I will have to come up with some answers there, and they probably will. But I think they do get to a point eventually where they don't have some great answer to this, and the game just is on a permanent decline, which is going to happen. Happens with everything.
If there is, yeah, exactly. I mean, what is League of Legends up to now? Because that's the one I always think of, like, man, people still play that. I don't know, is it on a slow decline? Is it just
I don't know. I guess, there's always college kids, right? And that's like the thing they play.
We should check in on League of Legends sometime, figure out how that's actually working.
We said, like, everything has to decline. Some things do just become, basketball, right? Some things just become sport. And, like, this is a thing that people are going to play forever. But it's like there's like, I don't know. I feel like there's one or two of those: Counter-Strike and League of Legends. And I guess you could try Fortnite. You could try to like jam one of these games if you're a big publisher into that space. I just don't know if you force it, because it didn't feel forced with any of those other games. It just felt like they made something and the community decided this is what we're playing. This is just like a new kid gets a gaming laptop for college, and this is one of the 3 games they download. It just comes with the PC, basically. I don't know.
I wonder what's going to look like if we get like this wave of 10 Sony, live service games over the course of a few years, and if we're in this situation, which could very well happen, where none of them hit.
Yep.
What does that look like? What happens then?
Yep. All right. Despite challenges, Capcom expects Exoprimal will be profitable. Let's see here. This is from Jesse Reyes at GameSpot. Exoprimal isn't doing too shabby, says Capcom in its latest quarterly earnings call. The company updated investors on expectations for its latest releases, including its new dinosaur-themed multiplayer shooter. Given that this game is an all-new IP, the situation is not without its challenges, Capcom told investors. However, we view the fact that the game has amassed over 1 million players to be positive. Going forward, we will continue to release content for the game while monitoring player behavior with an eye toward expanding sales. As an all-new IP, Exoprimal doesn't have the same built-in fan base that a series like Street Fighter 6 would have. However, it seems to be doing well enough at the moment that Capcom has faith in its continuing success. Capcom doesn't see it being unprofitable at this time, which is a weird way of putting it, but I guess that's fair. Here's the thing: like, do you think that we get an Exoprimal 2 ever?
Probably not.
Right? That's where it feels like it's at. Like, this game was like, they tried some stuff. I think that I enjoyed it, but I don't necessarily think that they have reached a level where it's like, we do an Exoprimal 2 because people would be excited about that. I don't know. It doesn't seem like it.
No, I mean, I think, this came out. I think some people liked it. Some were into it more than others. But even then, Remnant 2, not long afterwards, different, but similar enough in terms of a shooty game with my friends. People seem to be a little bit more excited about that even. But hey, I would hope internally their expectations weren't too high for an Exoprimal. Hope there was maybe a bit of a, we'll try something here. If it doesn't work out, that's okay, because we'll make, a zillion dollars off of Street Fighter 6 and Resident Evil 4 and, stuff for those games in the future anyways. Not everything, needs to be this giant success story.
Yep, and Street Fighter 6 is crushing it. It's doing very well. So you're right. Like, they're allowed to or they should be taking swings. It's Capcom. They have a pretty good handle on their tech. They have a good idea of what their teams can produce. And I think this was a good experiment. And this experience can fold over into something next that is maybe similar to Exoprimal in a lot of ways. But it's like, okay, let's just change up a few of the elements and see if we can get people excited about something different. I expect another Capcom live service game similar to Exoprimal to come along, maybe from this same team. And it comes along in 3, 4, 5 years, and it's going to be more refined and probably build on this in a lot of ways. But I don't expect Exoprimal 2.
Maybe the next one should actually be a Dino Crisis game.
Maybe it's time.
Maybe,
yeah,
right?
I
don't know why they didn't tie it into Dino Crisis more.
I guess I don't really get it. I remember hearing the rumor. It's like Dino Crisis is coming back, and I'm like, oh, okay. And then we saw this. I'm like, okay, this is that was the mixed signal there, where it's like, okay, maybe. Right. And then think it's like, why wouldn't they do it? They teased, or they got close to suggesting a tease of a relationship with the character, and then they backed off. They stepped away from that like a bunch of times. But yeah, I think that probably would have helped. Exoprimal, though, in terms of being profitable, that is nice. That's never what these companies are going for. They are looking like, okay, we want profits, and then we want to be able to generate excitement forward and to build franchises and to do more. So the next game is even more profitable because we've already done the hard work of establishing a new IP. And so in the long run, Exoprimal will probably be viewed as like, okay, curiosity, interesting. It worked in a lot of ways. A lot of people didn't like it. Let's try something else next time. Sega says Shadow won't be brought to the Sonic Classic series. Sorry, everybody. This is from Nintendo Everything. Any hopes of Shadow appearing in the classic Sonic the Hedgehog series have been dashed, at least for now. Shadow is actually the favorite character of Sonic Team Creative Officer Takashi Iizuka. Unfortunately, though, it seems he can only appear in the modern series, where he's cursed to remain forever, hopefully. Speaking with Game Informer, Iizuka said, Shadow is from the modern series of characters and gameplay that we have introduced. The classic series exists before the modern series, so they haven't met at that time. There's no relationship, so we won't be bringing Shadow into the classic series. Unfortunately, Shadow was in a capsule at that time. Laughs. Not unfortunately. I kind of would like to see just Shadow the Hedgehog with a fucking gun, just shooting up a Sonic the Hedgehog 2D stage. That's what I want, Mike, but I don't know.
Yeah, I'm in two minds of it. Part of me is like, "Oh, come on, who cares? Just do it." Blah blah blah. Another part of me is like, "Hell no! You keep that little freak away from my classic Sonic." That's a different art style, so we have to make a quote unquote cute Shadow, which that seems cursed. No, we talked about this before, Jeff. Like, I love Sonic, but I love Sonic as like a 6-year-old when it came out and stuff like that. I have an idea of what song is, and to me, Shadow was the Poochie. Like, this is real stupid. And then there's a whole group of people just a bit younger than me. They're like, no, Shadow's just one of the crew. We accept Shadow. That's just a core Sonic character that we all like. And I'm like, okay, that's interesting. But no, I don't. You can keep Shadow away from the classic song. I don't know. Part of me thinks about more, and it is so stupid. Let's just skip Shadow and go straight to Silver. We'll make Silver playable in Sonic. What's it called? Superstars? What the hell's the name of that game?
That sounds right.
Sonic Superstars. I think so. Yeah.
I just did a poll, Mike. Shadow the Hedgehog, cool dude, or Poochie ass loser. Let's see what happens.
Loser seems to be doing pretty well. Thank you, everybody. That's why, like the end of Sonic 2, right? The big at post-credit scene is the tease for Shadow. And, I saw it opening day. All these kids were freaking out, like, oh my God, Shadow's coming. I was like, oh, you kids like Shadow.
Oh, okay. All right.
I guess, hey, if you're 10, Shadow's probably the edgiest character your parents allow you to interact with in any way.
Like, you're not even at Vegeta yet. Like, you're still, you're still stuck on Shadow. So once they find out about Vegeta, it's all over for Shadow the Hedgehog.
But this character doesn't smile. Wow.
Oh man, he's got a gun. I think he might have SEX. I don't know.
Whoa.
Oh.
Rouge.
Dr. Eggman's a no good slut. Mike, I can't get that song out of my head. We were traveling to Chicago, that Pregnant Sonic song. And I made a joke online about how my wife doesn't like it, but she loves that song. She won't stop singing
she's
it
a big
either.
fan, actually.
Big fan. So we were singing it in the car, and then there was ramifications to that of now Addie's like asking about Pregnant Sonic all the time. So we're bad parents. We admit this fully. But
I wish she just ask her teacher about
yeah. Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, let's see. Yeah, Shadow Hedgehog.
How does Sonic get pregnant, Daddy?
Yeah, listen, there's some images I can't show you, but it's on the internet. It's ask your teacher.
Do they know how to Google yet? Google pregnant Sonic? Now you're in trouble.
Right now, it's turned into Daddy, write this on TV or write this on the tablet or whatever. That's how they say search for this, please, for me.
They don't say Daddy, Bing this.
No, they don't say Bing this. They say write this. They don't even say Google it. I did like debate showing them voice search, but like I don't know. I kind of don't want to like walk into the room and find like all the crazy stuff that they're googling or whatever one day. It's like I don't want to deal with that yet. Let's put that off another year. All right. Final Fantasy creators Fantasian is seemingly coming to Steam. This is from Chris Scullion at VGC. It's a Chris Scullion heavy day, everybody. Appreciate your local Chris Scullion. Go out there and tell
Chris.
Good job, Chris. Fantasian, the Apple arcade game written and produced by Final Fantasy creator Hironobu Sakaguchi, appears to be coming to Steam. As you know, I want to say that a little bit more American, just to annoy Turbo Sean, because I know he's but Hironobu Sakaguchi appears to be coming. There we go. As spotted by Twitter user Canooble, who, shout out to Canooble, that's our boy. An apparent listing of the game has appeared in Steam's database, as can be seen on SteamDB. Assuming the listing is legitimate, it means the end of the game's exclusivity period on Apple Arcade. Part 1 of Fantasian was released on Apple Arcade on April 2nd, 2021, while Part 2 was released on August 13th, suggesting the game's exclusivity period was likely 2 years. Developed by Sakaguchi's studio Mistwalker, Fantasian sees the Final Fantasy creator returning to traditional turn-based RPG gameplay for the first time since 2007's Lost Odyssey on Xbox 360. The game also features a new soundtrack by legendary Final Fantasy composer Nobuo Uematsu. Its most unique feature, however, is its art style. The game's environment are all real-life dioramas created by Japanese artists who have worked on special effects films, including the Godzilla movies, Attack on Titan, and Ultraman. That was always the thing for me, Mike. This game, I think, has a fucking look. It's got such a style. And I've been curious about it, but I was like, I am now planning to get an Apple TV. We talked about this on the show yesterday. But I haven't got one yet. And even if I did, I would rather play this on my Steam Deck or whatever. It's probably coming to the Switch as well. Are you going to check this out, or have you checked it out on Apple Arcade? I know you have an iPhone. I don't know if you use Apple Arcade ever, though.
No, I kind of like, I hate playing video games on my phone, generally. I made an exception for Marvel Snap for a bit, but fell off of that. It bugged me out at the time that, because, Sakaguchi hadn't made an RPG in a long time. Obviously, I'm a big Final Fantasy fan, so I wanted to check this out. If it's more available, at this point, I do want to know, do people actually like this game before I really get into it? And then, because there's a lot of JRPGs on my back catalog at the moment. There's a bunch of Trails games that have come out that I haven't gotten to get to yet. We have the Suikoden remakes heading over soon. People say Octopath Traveler 2 is really good, and I should try that, even though I didn't like the first one. I still have to play Final Fantasy 6 Pixel Remaster. So I'm going to make sure people actually do like this game, and if they do, then I will maybe check it out.
So I do remember people saying that they were pretty... they seem to like it more than they liked Blue Dragon and even Lost Odyssey.
I don't know. I don't believe you about Lost Odyssey. There's some Lost Odyssey freaks out there.
Right. I think, yes. And I think maybe the depth of the love doesn't go like the Lost Odyssey does, but I think the broad, like most people came away from Fantasian seeming to enjoy it. RPG site apparently gave it Game of the Year when it came out.
Well, Game of the Year.
Yes. And then, a bunch of other people saying, although a lot of people are saying play Trails. Yeah, cool. You don't have to believe me.
Trails games are, well, I think with the Trails games that I do want to play more of them, but I played Trails in the Sky 1 and 2, which I can't imagine any of the other games are as good as that, which, like, they're still good, but that's kind of almost my thing. It's like, I think I played the best ones. I want to play some of the other ones, but I think I played the best ones.
Yeah, Right. This the new one came out. I thought I thought it was like
Trails into Revelry.
Yeah, the reviews didn't look too hot. I thought.
It's and this is I didn't see. This is like the one that's kind of the tie-up of the larger thread that's been going across the Into the Sky games, into Trails of Cold Steel,
Right.
and then the Zero and Azure. It's all kind of coming. I want to play Zero is the one I do want to play next.
Well, speaking of incomprehensible video game names, Japanese studio Kimco is selling all 50 of its Xbox RPGs in a huge $200 bundle.
Wait a second. Wait, did we make this happen?
I'll tell you what. When I saw this story, I never would have included it had Dan not listed 500 Kimco RPGs on Dark Alliance yesterday. This comes from Chris Scullion at VGC.
Dark Tomorrow. Alliance.
Well, yeah.
Baldur's Gate game.
Dark Alliance.
Baldur's Gate on the head.
I'm actually downloading that on Steam right now as well.
I've been playing the original Dark Alliance on my GameCube.
Yes.
It's still really fun.
Exactly. I remember you mentioning that. I'm like, I could play that on Steam Deck. That might be actually a really good time.
Say hi. Hey, say hi to the innkeeper for me.
Oh, there it is. We'll do, Mike. I know that's your special innkeeper. Japanese studio Kimco has released a large digital bundle containing all 50 of its Xbox RPGs in one package. The Kimco 50 RPGs celebratory bundle is available now and will last until September 21st. It's priced at $200, which works out to $4 per game. The total price of all 50 games, if brought separately, would come to $749.50. And that means you get a 73% discount and save around $550. So basically, you're losing money if you don't go get this right now, Mike.
Right, and you included a full list here.
I did include a full list. I was wondering if you would want to pick out your favorites or if you want to just do it.
Oh, favorite? Well, I got to go through it. Here we go. We got Alphadia Genesis, Alphadia Genesis 2, Alphadia Neo, Alvestia Chronicles, Ambition Record, Antiquia Lost, Armed Emeth, Astivine Cross. Astivine Dios, that's Spanish for two. Astivine Hearts.
This is just my search history now.
Two. Astivine Kimura. Astivine Menace. And then finally, Astivine Saga. Google which Astivine's the best. I need to know.
Okay. Oh.
Blacksmith of the Sand Kingdom. Bonds of the Skies. Chromo Quaternion. Cronus Arc, Chrysaortha, Dragon Lapis, Dragon Prana, Dragon Sinker, Fairy Elements, Fern's Gate, Brain, Dragon's Odyssey, Gale of Windoria. It's Windoria. Ghost Sync, Heirs of the Kings, Illusion of Lephasia, Infinite Links, Justice Chronicles, Legends of Ixtana, Legend of the Tetrarch, Liege Dragon, Meridian Tavern Story, Maiden Tower, Monochrome Order, Monster Viator, Onigo Hunter, Overrogue, Revenant Dogma, Revenant Saga, RPG Golf Legends, Runeverse, Seek Hearts, Sephirotic Stories. I remember Dan saying Sephirotic Stories.
Yeah, that's right.
Orner, Sword of Apisia, The Smile Alchemist. I remember that one. And finally, Wizards of Brendel.
Oh boy.
Oh my God. I need a cigarette.
From RPGinsanity.com, in my opinion, the best Astivine game will be Astivine Kimura, but I do not advise playing it before the other Astivine titles. One of its charms are how it connects back to other Astivine games, and it would be wasted if you skipped it. All right. Yeah.
Somebody out there must have played every Astivine game and has a strong opinion about which ones are worth playing. Like this is, I mean, I hate to use this term. There must be like some kind of weird sweatshop that they have turning these things out.
I mean,
what is this?
Yeah, like
what's going on here?
Yeah, like the game mill, right? Like they just do the crank, and another one of these comes out, and it's like, well, hey, okay. I mean, if this is how you're doing it, it's your business, whatever. I've never heard of a single one of these games, Mike, and that feels weird.
It's very weird. Yeah, the studio just kind of quietly made 200 or whatever it is, 50. Random Japanese RPGs that no one's ever heard of. Like, where's the money coming from?
Yeah, and it's like,
I mean, I can see. I'm looking at the screenshots that maybe they don't cost very much, but
like each game probably sells 5,000 copies, maybe. I guess maybe better. I have no idea. I actually have no idea. But that seems like, about 5,000 copies, and maybe like that's how they make their money. It's just through sheer volume. Because I guess
Propaganda Panda says that Alphadia Genesis has a 9 out of 10 on Steam with 77 reviews.
well, clearly that is the next game for Dan to play on. Well, it's 9 out of 10. It can't be on Blight Club, so I don't know.
That's a good game. It would be funny to see like the Dan play one of these. God, it looks so freaking ugly.
Service Kane says Kimco runs a heavy industrial machinery business. They've got money. That's weird.
But they don't have money. No one has money to just throw away for no reason.
These things probably they probably
must
have a
make
business
money.
model that's working. Like this probably is working. It's just weird.
It's incredible.
And it says I mean it's Xbox RPGs. Like these
People
games
say the Xbox doesn't have JRPG.
they're fucking wrong. These games are probably on the Switch as well. So you know how many games the Switch has? 16,000.
Yeah, it's man, it's very funny to think about. You could get every Nintendo 64 game. It's like what 200 games.
Mhm.
Compare that to just the digital landscape these days. It doesn't work like that anymore.
It is all weird. Yeah, but these they're apparently okay. They're all on Xbox for some reason. Okay, I probably just the idea at Xbox makes it easier to self-publish. I bet. I think it's almost certainly that simple.
That mix of a little RPG Maker Unity integration, maybe. I don't know.
All right, last couple of stories. A special director's cut of Vampire Survivors reportedly exists. Another one from Chris Scullion at VGC.
Chris.
A special edition of Vampire Survivors called Director's Cut has emerged from a new report, and that's Yeah, what's up?
Misspelled intentionally.
Misspelled intentionally as DIRECTER, not OR.
Gross.
Author and accessibility consultant Laura Kate Dale tweeted that she had attended an event for the game's upcoming co-op mode and was pulled aside to look at a different version of the game. The director's cut title isn't a typo. It refers to a character called the Director, a hidden final boss who appears in the Vampire Survivors endgame. Mike, do you want me to keep saying Director weird to imply that it's spelled different, or is it just freaking people out, you think? Director.
I think it's freaking me out.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking. I thought, I don't
like it.
I don't want to say it anymore. According to Dale, the new version features wild new characters, stages, weapons, accessories, and evolutions. The new characters include a multi-limbed angel, a rose woman, an imp, Santa, werewolf, spaceman, big skull, constellation frog angel, and winged egg. That sounds like a good party right there. She also provided video evidence of the game and stated that she believes she's the only person who was invited to try it out. And it's not for sale yet, but it seems like something that's probably going to get announced pretty soon. Vampire Survivors is this weird thing to me, Mike, where it is it's a really good game, but it is one of these things where it's like that's simple to copy, and we have seen a lot of games that just like, hey, we're going to be a Vampire Survivors clone, and we're going to take this idea, and maybe we're going to do it better. And it's like, and somehow Vampire Survivors is the one that always seems to figure out the cool new thing to do. And they just keep throwing in so much new stuff that it's impossible to deny Vampire Survivors is just still the leading game in that genre. So, I know. You've never really gotten into Vampire Survivors, right?
I played it and I liked it. Not like, I wasn't like you guys considering it for Game of the Year last year and things like that. But I liked it. I'm excited to get it when it's on Switch. I hope I don't have to get it on Switch and then like there's some new version 6 months later.
If there is a new version, all of their DLC has been like $1.
Yeah.
So I think it's kind of like
even the game itself is $2.
Exactly. Right. So yeah,
sure,
if they put out,
fine.
it's like I'm like, that seems fine. For as much as I played it, that seems completely fair. Christian in chat says they should add a vampire, and that just reminds me of that Tim and Eric thing. Where it's like, have you considered getting a job? It's not an option. It's like, can you put a vampire in the game? No, that's not an option. We're not going to do it. I don't know. Vampire Survivors without vampires is that's got to keep happening. Finally, Xbox Gamescom plans include playable Stalker 2 and Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty. This comes from Jason Finelli at GameSpot. Gamescom 2023 is a mere 3 weeks away, August 23rd through the 27th, and gaming companies around the world are getting ready for their annual trip to Germany. Xbox will be part of the festivities in Cologne, and today Microsoft revealed its plans for the show, which include the largest booth the company has ever built there. The official Xbox Wire blog post laid out all of the Xbox-related happenings at this year's Gamescom, which are highlighted by 25 playable demos from third-party and ID at Xbox partners. Among the demos are multiple games that will be publicly playable on Xbox for the first time ever, a list which includes the following: Armored Core 6, Fires of Rubicon, Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty, Jusant, Party Animals, Payday 3, Persona 5 Tactica, Stalker 2, Towerborn, and Under the Waves from Quantic Dream. I think Mike, I would really like to go to Gamescom someday. This seems like a pretty
Sure.
good like showing for Gamescom. It is picking up some of the slack left behind by E3, right? That's the sense I get from this. It's not E3, but it's picking up a significant amount of that slack.
Yeah, it seems that it's surprising how much stuff is going to be there. So yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think you're right. It would be interesting to go to. We know perhaps Switch to at Gamescom or around Gamescom.
Maybe.
We don't
Yep, we'll see. Yeah.
I think there's going to be some fun stuff at Gamescom. And, people were really high on that Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty thing just at Summer Game Fest, so that should be exciting. Yeah, lots here. That sounds interesting.
Mike, you want to do me a favor? I'm going to get the poll going here for everybody, but I think Baldur's Gate 2 reviews are coming in right now.
Well, 3, but don't forget.
Excuse me, yes.
They are, but remember, everybody got review code like a few days ago.
3 days ago, yes.
There's not there's not a bevy of reviews. I'm on Metacritic right now. There's not like
it's just
an average score to look at. There's 2 reviews that somehow published from 2 sites I haven't heard of, but it's a 95 and a 90. So
okay, all right. Well, you know what? We'll check in on that again next week. Then that's what we'll do. All right. The poll from yesterday. I asked, "What will be your next computer purchase?" 52% said I will build my own PC or buy a pre-build. 9% says I'm going to get a laptop. 11% said I'm going to get a handheld gaming PC, and 28% says I have no plans to buy a PC of any kind. I think that this is a little bit what I was trying to get at, and that I think the handheld gaming PC is taking away from the laptop purchase. That seems to be the, I think it's building its own. I think it's building its own tier, but I also think I'm not considering a gaming laptop anymore. That's something I probably would always had in the back of my mind. It's like, in a couple years I'll get a new gaming laptop. That'll be nice to have when I'm traveling. No way. I do not want a gaming laptop, I think, ever again, Mike. I don't know. How about you?
I've never been a gaming laptop fan. I always like just getting like something that's much more for work for my laptop or kind of tablet. I've been a Surface Pro fan for a while. And, if I'm going to play, if I'm traveling and I am going to play games, which is usually never that often when you actually can, then back then my DS or 3DS would be there for that, or now my Switch. So, I don't even really bring my Steam Deck or my ROG with me on trips. So I'm like, I don't have that much time for gaming. And if I do, I will just play something on my Switch, and that's easier to transport and charge.
All right. We have a new poll question. I'm going to get to that in a second. In the meantime, Mike, what do you have going on?
What do I have going on? We have a new Game S Decides tonight. We're going to decide the best game from 1997. I believe will be fun.
Ooh.
So, a new 90s Disney is out about the People Mover / Tomorrowland Transit Authority. So, check out 90sdisney.com or go look for that up on all the podcast places. I know we have a change of plans in Voicemail Dump Truck, I believe, right?
Yes, we were going to have a Double J Jeff Jarrett on the show today. There was a scheduling conflict. He is now scheduled for next week's Voicemail Dump Truck. So look out for that instead. But yeah,
am I still scheduled for Voicemail Dump Truck today?
You should still come on Voicemail Dump Truck today. Yes,
okay,
definitely.
I can answer any questions that were for Jeff Jarrett. How about that?
Okay, wonderful, perfect. That's going to go very well. All right, the new poll question: have you avoided Blizzard games? This is older. I did not come up with a new poll question. Mike, what should be the poll question be today? Let's come up with something right now. Should we just do Shadow the Hedgehog? Do you want Shadow the Hedgehog to be in classic 2D games? Do you care about Fantasia?
You resent Shadow the Hedgehog, yes or no?
Yeah, there we go. That's very good. Okay, we will get that up on youtube.com/giantbomb/community there on the community tab when Jan gets back from being out on assignment. That will happen later today, so look out for that. In the meantime, though, Mike, thank you so much for taking your time today to talk with me about video games, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. I learned about all these Chemico games I have to play, right?
I know, yeah. We got to catch up. Can't leave these unplayed. Thank you all for watching. You're the best audience in gaming. Until next time, have a good one. Take care of yourself, and goodbye. Okay, we've done it. Let's turn off that.